Hey, I'm going to preface this video by saying if you want to watch a Nintendo Direct summary that just blows smoke up Nintendo's ass the entire time, go watch someone else's channel like Arlo or something, because I don't do that here. You sure? Okay. Nintendo's June Direct is actually a perfectly fine Direct if you've never owned another video game console in the past 5 years. If this Direct was supposed to sell people who haven't bought a Switch 2 yet on getting one before the price hike happens in September, then Nintendo's sorely mistaken. First up, we got 3 minutes of the new Rhythm Heaven Groove, which looks fun. I love the DS original, and Nintendo dedicating a bunch of time to this as their first presentation, and more during the Treehouse was probably a good move since there hasn't been a new one of these since the 3DS. Will it sell well? Hard to say, as outside of the DS original, this series never really set the world on fire, but I love rhythm games, so I'll eventually pick this one up. After this, it was the Capcom show. Holy hell, Capcom's showing a lot of love to the Switch 2 with some games I'm sure will run great on there, since Resident Evil Requiem and Pragmata do, but Dragon's Dogma 2? I have a 7900 XT, and I'm lucky when that game goes above 60 FPS in Burnworth. The amount of cuts it'll take to make the game run well on Switch 2 have to be devastating. Parts of the trailer show the game running at what appears to be around 40 to 60, and I mean, cool if it does, I guess. I'm also hoping Dark Arisen is the shot-in-the-arm Dragon's Dogma 2 needs, because I didn't love it anywhere near as much as the first game. As I'm writing this script, an update came out for Dragon's Dogma 2 that not only added a bunch of quality-of-life improvements people have been begging for since launch, but they're also removing the game's microtransactions, along with an update in August to improve performance and a permanent price drop on the base game. Good shit, Capcom. But most of what Capcom showed was ports, and if you take a shot every time you see a Switch 2 port of an older game from this Direct, you won't be alive to be disappointed when Zelda comes around. Oh man, Orbitals looks fantastic. It reminds me of the best parts of It Takes Two with a great art style. Oh, what's that? I forgot to talk about a game before that? What do you mean? Nier Automata launched on the Switch back in 2022. Here's that Rayman Legends remake again, which in classic Ubisoft fashion got leaked ahead of time due to them charging $2,000 for an enhanced version of Origins on Xbox. Very Ubisoft of them. It also got announced already, so skip. Big Walk looks cute. One of those games you and two friends buy and play for a week before you drop it forever for another game you guys play for a week before dropping that too. One Piece mobile game? Okay, this is just a Kairosoft game, and pretty much all their games look and play exactly the same, so if you never played one of their bajillion games like Game Dev Story, Forest Camp Story, Burger Bistro Story, Basketball Club Story, or Hot Spring Story, then you might like one with a One Piece skin. No, I didn't make any of those up. This is just their bread and butter. The games aren't even bad. They're just all identical. Alright, Pokemon fans, I need you to get closer to your screen. No, closer. Closer. This is on you. You spent $35 on what should have been endgame content, sold off to you as mediocre DLC that wore out its welcome after 1 hour. So here you go. $105 for the complete Pokopia experience. I love this game, but you can fuck right off with that, alongside keeping this game as a game keycard. Ridiculous. And speaking of ridiculous, new Fire Emblem game looks great. I ain't paying $80 for it, and I hope anyone with half a brain doesn't either. I knew as soon as Nintendo announced they were going to start selling digital games for $10 cheaper that this exact scenario would happen. I just didn't think it'd be so soon. Fire Emblem for $80! This isn't even the first time! Remember when Awakening was the last push for this franchise because otherwise it was going to die? Outside of Three Houses, maybe it should have stayed that way. And speaking of remembering, remember Ninjala? Unless you watch the anime, no, you don't. And if you're sitting there going, this game got an anime? It got over 200 episodes! They're still coming out! Anyways, this one looks like it'll have more staying power as it veers away from being a Splatoon-adjacent game and not a free-to-play multiplayer one. They keep saying the first part, which threw me off, so I had to look it up, and this game's supposed to be a two-parter with the second part coming out later down the line. I don't know, graphically it kinda looks ass for a Switch 2 game. Sorry.
The limited time DK Challenge event.
Holy fuck, I don't care. But doing a time-limited event for a DLC expansion? Absolutely scummy behavior that, if this was any other company, people would be rallying in social media streets over. But Nintendo made Mario, so it's fine, I guess. Holy fuck, I don't care even more! Vampire Survivors is my jam, but when you open by showing, from the creators of Vampire Survivors, in a Nintendo Direct, an anime-licensed bullet heaven that's coming out on everything else with a screen just isn't what people are expecting? Statistically, it'll be better than this piece of shit, though. I have no thoughts on Lords of the Fallen 2, like, at all. But this fucking trailer cracks me up. This is something Nintendo's been doing for any violent games on their directs, in case kids are watching, but every time someone's about to get hit in this trailer, it lazily cuts to a different scene. Great stuff. Can't wait to see them spend a year completely revamping this one, too. Liza P is one of my favorite Souls-like games ever. It's a good thing I already played it 3 years ago. Taking that shot. Now this is what I want to see. Oh, it's awesome to see Muramasa not only escaping the Vita and Wii, but a Vanillaware game coming out on PC. Okay, listen, Stellar Blade Gooner's still reeling over that joke I made earlier. These are official figures you can buy of this game. Get off Twitter and buy Muramasa when it launches, you swine. The only thing I can trust about Nintendo's consistency with Switch 2 upgrades is how inconsistent they are. This one's free! This one's $10 and you use a mobile app with it! This one's $10 and fuck you, it just makes the game run better! This one's $5 and fuck you, the game runs better, but it looks worse! This one's $20 and it comes with a bunch of crap you can't use unless you have a webcam and it doesn't run better! So with all 3 Xenoblade Chronicles, it's $10 upgrades for each that makes the game run better and new content! And if you're wondering if paying $10 gets you Torna for Xenoblade Chronicles 2... No, it doesn't. I have absolutely no love for Nintendo's handling of these upgrades, and it's no exception here. New Xenoblade looks nice, though. Monolith Soft's proven time and time again how much they can push the Switch to its breaking point, so I'm eager to see what they pull off with Terminator Genesis here. Oh wow, another Switch sports game re-release! Does this one come with all the content in it at launch, or are they going to stagger out the release of the games as free updates later on to disguise the game being unfinished? It's also kind of nuts how this is just better value than Nintendo Switch Sports in general. But hey, I've been ranting for a while, and I need you to pay attention. Nintendo spends nearly 2 minutes here explaining one of the games in Resort. Please understand that Nintendo spent more time showing you someone jerking a Joy-Con off in a Thumb War minigame over an Ocarina of Time remake that's out this year. Nintendo's priorities for this Direct are banana pants insane when we're 1 year out of the Switch 2's launch and outside of Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, and Pokemon Pokemon. I struggle to think of another reason to justify getting one. Also, if you do buy a Switch 2, don't buy Mario Kart World, just buy Sonic Cross Worlds instead. It's got more content, more variety, constantly goes on sale, and isn't $80. Alright, now this is a serious question. Who does Jagex have dirt on in the video game industry that RuneScape Dragon Wild showed up at every game showcase this year? Genuinely, I want to know. Nintendo, this game is out in 2 weeks. Star Fox 64 3 had its own Direct even. Why are you like this? It's getting to Deathloop levels of me being grateful when it comes out because I won't have to see another trailer for it again. I kid a little. I like Deathloop after they did the Golden Loop update, but I'm still going to tell you to play Prey 2016 and Moon Crash instead. Oh hey, the Octopath Traveler team gets to actually make a Final Fantasy game. Looks neat. Albeit the juxtaposition from gorgeous sprite work to realistic summon cutscenes throws me off. And everything Square Enix shows off today is just going straight onto a game keycard, because if Bravely Default HD taught me anything, it's that they're cheapskates, no matter how small the game is. Pikuniku 2! It looks cute! And is coming out on everything else, so I don't care. We return from your not Square Enix break to show off another Square Enix game. I have no experience with Dragon Quest Monsters, but I hope it's not a game key. Oh, god damn it. What? What do you want me to say? We saw less of the game here than we did in April. Last year. What's there to get hyped or excited about? A closed network test? Okay. Get hyped? Another game that's just getting its own Direct, but we're showing it off here. Plus, during the Treehouse stream where they spent 20 minutes explaining how basic Splatoon mechanics work, as if Splatoon fans, the people who will be buying this game, don't already know. I'm being mean. It does look fun, and I will probably give it a go, as the only reason I never got into Splatoon myself is I already juggle too many online games. real shit. The only reason this Direct isn't getting a failing grade is another chapter in a now 8-year-old game I like is coming out, and I'm only half joking about that. Thanks, Toby. Can't wait to play the full game in 2030. Yep. I loved Metaphor. Take a shot. It's mine. I don't... Shot. Holy shit, this looks rough on the Switch, too. You can actually see the resolution change multiple times during this small snippet here. Woof. Shot. 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 There's a Direct today? Will they show off any games from the year 2026 in it? No. No, that's fine. Kingdom Hearts music heard alternative brain functions have assumed direct control. Oh boy, this was doing the numbers afterwards. The funniest thing about Directs is if you imagine them as people masturbating, only for the shame and realization to set in once they're finished. The Kingdom Hearts social media accounts had to start doing immediate PR due to the $75 price point. The game is obviously a game keycard on Switch 2, but it's also a download on PS5. Also, if you were enough of an idiot to buy the cloud versions of these on Switch 1, you don't get them for free on Switch 2. Oh no, you get a discount. Also, your cloud versions have been delisted and will stop working after a year. So buy this console and pay us again if you want to keep playing the game you paid for that was always a glorified rental for as long as the servers were online. Not to mention all the AI art allegations, which seem to have just been some lazy intern using Photoshop's AI fill tool to try and finish parts of this art separately that were originally cut off as part of this art shown in the trailer. With all that said, it's nice to see native versions at all. And hey, the Switch one's getting a native version of 1.5 and 2.5 HD. No Melody of Memory with this collection though, because even Square Enix forgot they made that game at this point. It doesn't even have a release on Steam, it's still stuck on Epic on PC. Oh my god, Kingdom Hearts 4 is real! Maybe. Possibly. Still no release date. I love this dumb little franchise to death, and I'm cursed with understanding every insane detail about it, so I'll look forward to playing it. Not the Switch 2. And lastly, the leaks were all true! Ocarina of Time Remake is real, and is coming out this year! Yes! It's coming out within 6 months, and we didn't see a shred of gameplay for it. Huh? Let me put this in perspective. After Splatoon Raiders, Nintendo showed that that game's getting its own Direct, comics on Nintendo Today, a Raiders-themed Splatfest, social media to follow for more info on Raiders, the 2026 Splatoon 3 League, fucking controller colors, all of that is half as long as the Zelda trailer. Some of you might be asking what kind of expectations I'd go into with these kinds of game presentations, and my answer is none. If you go into every single one of these expecting something you want for years, you'll turn into a Hollow Knight fan. I find it better to enter with a fresh mind every time, and if something cool comes around, nice! It's something to look forward to. But Nintendo with this Direct, I just don't understand. Yeah, there's stuff I liked, but my takeaway from Nintendo this year is, should Switch 2 owners be excited? When a majority of your big presentation is just games that already came out on other systems, but the novelty now is that it's portable. Are they supposed to be? That worked during the Switch era because the idea was still fairly novel back then. Now it's business as usual because it's the Switch 2. They also just don't seem to understand what people want. Here, I can list off several things that would have left people feeling better at least. More content for Mario Kart World to justify the $80 price tag. More free Switch 2 upgrades interspersed between the paid ones, like for Age of Calamity or Pokemon Legends Arceus. How about new games coming to Nintendo Switch Online? They're ROMs, Nintendo. Just dump one during the Direct and tell people you can play it now or something. Maybe roll another upgrade pack into your Nintendo Online subscription? Or how about anything that isn't spending more time touching tips than what'll easily be one of your most profitable remakes ever? I'm less disappointed by all this, I'm just left confused. I'm sure someone watched this and is now itching to pick up a Switch 2, and of that I have no doubts. But something to make the Switch 2 a must-have considering how many of the games shown are ports? Switch 2 should be well on its way in its second year to being the system you have solid recommendations for, not where to go to play games you've already played. Time will tell if this gambit and price increase in September works out, but I saw this as their one chance to impress before the system got more expensive, and by God did it fall flat on its face. Alright, I've rambled enough. If you take away anything from this video, it's not that I have a deep-seated hatred for Nintendo and their properties, but that I don't play favorites, which is something the Nintendo faithful doesn't seem to understand. Call out Nintendo when they don't value you as a customer. Trust me, they'll learn real quick.